Hey, go check out this right here, Avatar, The Last Airbender right here. This a good show right here on Netflix too. This joint right here, you see how he got the little arrow? He got the little arrow on his forehead. It's actually like coming all the way up from his spine, all the way up. It's like a tattoo from his spine, traveling all the way to the center of his forehead. Where you think this is pointing at? Where you think that arrow is pointing at? They gonna put the truth in plain sight, but they gonna use a different race to portray the gifts that the chosen ones have. You know what I'm saying? Cause there we got a decalcified pineal gland, aka our third eye. Theirs is calcified. You know what I'm saying? But it's so many different things in this matrix that's attacking our pineal gland to where it doesn't really function at its fullest level. But that tattoo with the arrow to go all the way down the spine, and he got it on his arms. The arrows come out showing on his hands. The arrow start. The tattoo, when it come out on the hand, the arrow is facing the fingers. So you got one pointing right here in the middle, in the center of the forehead, which is the third eye. Then you got one on each hand, basically pointing at the fingers, basically like the mudras. You know what I'm saying? The different things that we can do with our hands. And then you got the tattoo coming up the spine. What does that symbolize? That's the kundalini energy that rises and touches the pineal gland. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that you can do to rise your kundalini energy and your the chi. All the different stuff. They say hold back off of sex, semen retention. You know what I'm saying? They say that shit is a good active source for the pineal gland. You know what I'm saying? But this show right here, it talks about the four elements of the earth. You know what I'm saying? You got the air, you got water. My hand back in front of the camera. You got air, water, fire, and earth. There's different benders on here that can do different things, but when you can master all of them, you basically become the master bender. You know what I'm saying? If you can master all elements, you know what I'm saying? This is something that us melanated, carbonated beings can do. If you go on TikTok, you got different benders on there doing different things. You know what I'm saying? You got air benders on there. You see some stuff from some people in Africa just sitting in the fire, playing in the fire, coming out of these different ceremonies of things where they in the fire. Y'all search them, you know what I'm saying? I should add them on here. I should add them to this video. I might do it, you know what I'm saying? I think I am going to do that. So I'm going to have to go back and find them and then come back and put this video to it. But yeah, man, check out this joint, man. They talking about our gifts, you know what I'm saying? We can master all these gifts. We can master the air. We can master the earth. We can master the fire. We can master the water. I mean, to be honest with you, I can speak on the time that I did something and it wasn't even in there knowing or willing to even try to do it. I was just not feeling good one night. Not sick, but just, I thought I had the herb. You know what I'm saying? And I go sit on the side of the tub. Waiting for myself to throw up. And I'm completely zoned out, but I'm so focused and I'm just sitting there and I'm just sitting on the tub leaning towards the toilet, resting my head on my arm, just like trying to throw up. But every time I try to throw up, every time I go, bubbles will come from the bottom of the toilet. Every time I said, thinking something was coming up, but nothing came up, but it came up from the toilet. And as I sat there longer, the shit started bubbling like a pot on the fucking stove. And my peoples that I was at, they walked by and they were like, yo, you okay? You good? You alright? And then they looked at the toilet. They were like, yo, what the fuck? They were like, is you doing that? I wasn't even like in tune to even having a conversation. I was just thinking about going home, and I got up and walked away. And he was like, "What the fuck?" But yeah, I'm gonna show y'all some of the different benders and shit that, you know what I'm saying, that we can do, like literally. But check out this Avatar, The Last Airbender. Firebender. We can become one with the element. Each element, we can become one with it. We are all that. We are all elements.
Now, when you're talking about quantum physics, metaphysics, mind science, technology, it works in tandem with your metaphysical abilities, because when you have a velocity of non-ether collaborating with the carbon body, that's when your spiritual abilities start to come online. Since we're in a sun cycle, and the sun cycle is being galvanized by an influx of coronal mass ejections. So this is where you get telekinesis, psychometry, clairvoyance, intuition. This is where you begin to have abilities of levitation if you're tapped into a certain frequency. So it's not a coincidence that this man in prison, you know, you also can't negate the fact that a lot of people with these spiritual abilities, you know, they're locked up in prison, but they use their gifts for something that was basically malevolent. You know, they use it for a negative frequency. So, you know, a lot of times, you know, when you face hardship, when you got to go in that mirror and you got to do that shadow work and you got to face those traumas, sometimes those spiritual abilities come online when you at your worst state. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, in order to tap into that frequency, it's got to be one of those things where you have to experience the dark night of the soul to tap into that frequency.
Waterbender.
Wow.
Look at it. Making the water come back and forth.
Genial.
Look at it. He made it stay right there. He didn't go back. We can tap into all elements of the earth, y'all. Look, tell him to come here. Tell him to come here, look. 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 Tell him to come all the way to him. Look, we can tap into all elements.